Hi, everyone. Gabby here, owner and clinical director of Recovered and Restored Eating Disorder Therapy Center. I wanted to jump on and say hi. I also wanted to introduce today our amazing clinician, Claudia, and Claudia is with us today. She is going to be talking about herself so we can get to know her a little bit, and also some tools and what she does in therapy and all of the things. So I will let her introduce herself. Claudia, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I am Claudia, and I'm, like Gabby said, I'm a clinician with Recovered and Restored. My background is in psychology and social work, and I also have a certificate in trauma recovery. And I really like to use a trauma-focused lens with clients, and really like to, focus on the narratives that clients have about themselves and really dive deep into that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So she's a graduate of Widener. She has her MSW, working towards her LSW. So all really exciting things. Tell us what made you pick Widener.
At the time, I was working full time at a law firm, actually.
Oh.
And it just, Widener's program was completely online. And so it worked out really well with my working schedule.
Mhm.
And also, Widener's program promoted that they have a trauma focus in their program. And that's something that attracted me to it. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. It was what I wanted to do. And the convenience of it was awesome.
That's awesome. And we are fully virtual. So this hopefully has been like a smoother
Absolutely.
transition.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell me what made you want to become a therapist. It's like a really hard job, and we all kind of have our own stories around it. So share yours.
So I think I've always had an affinity towards, wanting to, work with others and just, wanting to listen to, others and their stories and issues that they were going through and wanting to be sort of, a guide for them. And also just experiences, in my own life, things that I've experienced, and seeing how past therapists have helped me in my times of need, and just wanting to give back in that way. And also, as someone who is recovered from an eating disorder, wanting to work with that community of individuals who are currently struggling with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we all kind of have that background of one being recovered, but also like wanting to work with people and like show up for people. So I think that's like one thing about our team that I really love.
It's awesome, really awesome.
So what do you think is your favorite part about creating a good relationship with a client? Like, what are some of the key factors? What are the things that maybe when you were in therapy, you found really important and that you try to translate as you are as a therapist now?
I From my own experience in therapy, I always enjoyed when it didn't feel like I was in therapy. It felt like I
Yeah.
was going to almost like a friend, but not a friend, if that
Like a
makes
really wise friend.
Yeah, yeah, just going to someone who it didn't feel so formal and like I was being judged, and I was in a space where I could talk freely
Yeah.
and get unbiased judgment from someone,
Yeah.
and or not unbiased judgment, but get an unbiased view of, what I was, dealing with.
Yeah.
Um, so that was something I always like that felt really important to me as the client. And so that is something I try to emulate in my own work, where I have clients who they know about my background, and they know some things about me, and hopefully that makes them feel uncomfortable and like they're not being talked at, but
Yeah.
someone is listening to them and actually listening to them and listening non-judgmentally, and providing that unbiased feedback. That I think is important, and that is something that I enjoy to build that strong relationship where clients feel just comfortable, and where they don't look at it as oh, like I have to go to therapy, it's my weekly appointment. They actually want to, and they want to meet and they want to talk.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like you have a lot of unconditional positive regard in your sessions, which I think is like so important. And I know that we all can benefit from that a little bit.
Try to include that.
Yeah, it's really important. The best advice I was ever given when I was going into the field of working with eating disorders was to be a little less therapeutic. And I was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Like, being a young clinician, I didn't know how to take that. And because I'm an inquisitive person, I was like, can you tell me what you mean? Like, that felt like really good advice, but I didn't know how to take it. And they were like, when you're working with eating disorders, there's so much there, as we know, and as we personally know, it's so complex. The last thing someone wants to come in and be therapized, right? They want to come in and they just want to be, right? So my take on that was like, yes, we can be therapeutic. We can, cultivate these safe, trusting environments for our clients, and we can show up and be human and authentic. And that's like what's so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my advice. If anyone's watching and you're going to be an eating disorder therapist, be a little less therapeutic and a little more you. Which, Claudia, you do a great job of that. And all of Claudia's clients definitely have shared how just warm and trustworthy she feels. So I just want to give you that feedback. So what are your favorite forms of self-care? Self-care is one of my favorite things to talk about. We'll definitely do another video on that. So give us spill the tea.
Important. Self-care is so important.
And it's not selfish. Self-care is not selfish.
No, it's not. It's just essential to well-being. It's essential to my well-being. I know that. Probably my two biggest, forms are, I love the outdoors. So
yeah.
It sounds so cliche, but truly, I have a great walking trail by my house and I utilize that throughout the day when I have breaks. I get my energy from, outdoor energy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Taking my dogs out for walks, going horseback riding. I'm a horse girl. I absolutely love horses. Cool. I love being around them. I find them to be so healing. So, I personally will either go horseback riding or I will even, there are, I have friends who own barns and I will, spend my Friday mornings going over there and, cleaning out horse stalls. And it sounds
that's awesome.
really gross, but that is therapeutic to me. So spending time outside and spending time with animals are probably my two biggest forms of self-care that I really enjoy and that fill my cup.
Did you grow up riding horses?
I didn't. No, I grew up from both of my parents are off the boat from Italy. Cool. And when I discovered my love of horses, they were like, what? Like horse, what? What do you mean? Just confusion of why would you want to go do that? So no, it wasn't until adulthood that I, was like, I'm an adult now. I can go take horseback riding lessons if I want. I have full autonomy over doing that. So I didn't start until my 20s going horseback riding. Yeah, I'm definitely not super experienced equestrian. No, but
that's okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that. And I love that you weren't scared to be a beginner.
No, one of the places that I went to, I was clearly the oldest person there. There were probably kids who were 6 on horses and they're all riding around the ring and I could see them staring at me I was just I love it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. That's so cool. We'll definitely have to talk about equine therapy at some point, a video about it, because it's really very powerful. We don't do equine therapy here, but there is a practice called Evolve. They're in Pennsylvania that they have kind of branched out in that area. And I think they've had just really awesome results.
That's awesome. I've done the therapy myself.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful. Yeah.
So another video. Stay tuned. Another video. Okay, so you like being in nature, being with animals. When I think of self-care, I think of bubble baths. I'm a queen of the bath, and I do love the water. We have a pool. Also, going to the beach when it's hot and warm out is also totally self-care for me. I'm trying to think what else I love. I love spending time with my daughter, but I don't think she's self-care. She's a lot of work, but I do love her. I do love her dearly. So I'll say probably baths, anything water related and napping would be probably like my self-care.
Also important, sleep.
Oh my God, it really is. It really is. How do you know when it's okay? And this is really a challenge, I think, that we all have to navigate as therapists, to self-disclose, because self-disclosure is important. It's powerful. It can kind of like open up a lot of really difficult conversations and help people feel less alone, but it has to be done properly. So fill us in on how you use it.
Yeah, so that was something that was kind of, I don't want to say difficult for me to navigate, but like just a little tricky because, in the social work, in the social work field, there's this emphasis on, really kind of like don't share so much. Like self-disclosure is okay, but don't like use as little information as possible, which clients don't need to be, clients don't need to be knowing, our personal lives. So it was kind of tricky for me to navigate it at first. I really just did my best to kind of, read the client and really listen to what they are telling me. And okay, what are they telling me right now? What is their body language saying? Would they really benefit from, hearing, like having the person who they're having this conversation with, sharing, like their vulnerability with them. And so for me, it's really important for me to gauge the client and what the client is saying, and their body language, just all of everything about them in that moment, to really gauge to see, okay, is this a time where I feel like they would benefit from hearing, like, hey, I've been there, I'm with you, I've been in your shoes, I really get it, everything you're saying I get. So for me, it's really based on the client and how they're doing in that moment. That's something that I've had to learn how to navigate.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Will it benefit the client? And if the answer is yes, it's okay. And I think there are also like limits for self-disclosure, but I think, again, you said it best, like it's so unique, right? Like certain clients sometimes want to hear and almost need to hear the nitty-gritty when appropriate, and certain clients you would never. And it just really depends on the individual, just like therapy and recovery is so unique to the person. So self-disclosure kind of falls the same way. And like, it's okay to have to navigate that. I think we all navigate that as we, meet different clients.
For sure. And I think for myself, I kind of, in like years ago would think about like, oh, clients aren't going to want to, hear that. Like, that's going to make me look like, oh, like, how would I be professional? But as, as I've learned, and as I've done my own like growth and progress, I've seen that, it can be powerful for sure for certain clients. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So what approaches, so we know we like to use self-disclosure when appropriate, but what type of approaches do you like to use with clients? What could they expect, meeting you in the first session to like, as you get to work with them, throughout their journey?
Yeah. So I really like to take a collaborative approach with clients. I know I stated about, I never want clients to feel like I'm talking at them and that, like I'm trying to therapize them. So I really like to kind of work with them. And I'm a big believer that, change will only happens, when the individual themselves wants to change.
Okay.
And I think a piece of, that want for change comes from feeling like they, have control in the change. And like ultimately clients are the experts in their lives. We can, on our end, we can, bring in different interventions and, different, support and different knowledge, but ultimately the client is the expert in their life. They are the ones, going through their life day by day, on their own. And so I really like for clients to feel like they are also, in control of the change and how the change is occurring. So that's like my biggest thing that I really try to incorporate with clients for sure.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because I think when we can feel empowered, right? Because I think a lot of times in eating disorder recovery, and also when we're in our eating disorder, we feel so disconnected. We don't feel empowered, and we're grasping on things to kind of help ourselves cope in whatever way we can. Where when we start to feel empowered, then we can use other skills besides food and body image to deal with whatever's going on when we're ready, but at least we feel strong enough, and that just takes time,
Mhm.
but that's so awesome. Yeah, creating a space to feel empowered and to know that like we're one, not judging, but also knowing that like you're the one walking in your shoes every day. So I can tell you what I think could be helpful, but if that's not going to be helpful for you, that's okay. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I think sometimes when we go into the field, they kind of forget to teach us that.
Yeah, it's, you know what, these are the interventions that you should be using in these situations. And, you know, what intervention did you use? Like, I
Yeah,
just wrote case presentations, doing case presentations
right.
and, you know, making sure you clearly state the intervention used. And, you know what, obviously those interventions are important. And, you know,
Totally.
we use a lot of the framework in our, you know, in our day-to-day work, but every session and every day doesn't need that, you know, it doesn't need that,
Absolutely.
you know, like solid, this is exactly what was, you know, being done here. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Totally. I think it's our job to know the interventions and share them when it's helpful.
Sure.
And remembering that this isn't a case, right? This is a human being. And just like we've been on the other side of it in therapy, if my therapist looked at me as a case, we probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere, but she saw me as Gabby, right?
Mhm.
And she met me where I was at. Um, and I think we just have to remember, like always, if someone doesn't feel connected, if someone doesn't feel safe, if someone doesn't trust you, which is where all the rapport building comes in, we could give them 100 interventions. I'm not going to do any of them,
Of course not. Yeah.
right? So we have to establish that place of safety, trust, and all the things that I think you do a great job of.
Yeah, I really try. I know it's not, being on the other end of it, I know it's not easy to have that, you know, vulnerable, you know, be vulnerable with, you know, a stranger essentially at first. So I really try to, you know, emphasize that in my work.
I think that's awesome. What do you hope your clients are getting out of sessions?
I hope that they are getting some form of a more positive outlook on their life,
Mhm.
on just seeing that even if in that moment, you know, they are still, you know, battling with symptoms
Yeah.
and, you know, certain beliefs, that they see that, okay, you know, change is possible. And I might be feeling this way now, but I am not going to feel this way forever.
Yes.
Won't feel this way forever.
Yes.
I'm in the right place and I'm doing, you know, I'm doing the right thing to get me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
I think a more positive outlook on their life is really what I hope that all of my clients get, truly.
Yeah. Making recovery less elusive. I think that's something that I hear from clients a lot. Like, oh, that sounds great, right? Like, that sounds great. Food freedom, that sounds great. Embracing my body, that sounds great. Respecting my body, that sounds great. But they're like, but these just feel like concepts. And I'm like, that's so fair and so valid. And I'm sorry you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
How can we get you to this
Mhm.
other side? Acknowledging that's going to take a ton of time and a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And knowing that it takes time and work
Mhm.
and still not giving up that hope.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
always hope. There's always hope.
absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting with today.
Thank you for having me. This is
This was
great.
great. This was so great. I'm trying to do like little interviews with everyone so that all of you people who take the time to kindly watch our YouTube page gets to meet my amazing team because we really love what we do and we would love to work with you. Also, I have to say this is that it is not therapy, these videos, they are just a supplement to help you get through your day. I hope they, help in some small way. And if you want to work with Claudia or me or anyone on our team, go to recoveredandrestoredtherapy.com. Reach out to us. We would absolutely love to work with you.
You would. Bye.